Guys. Okay, so this is my labor and delivery story, and it started, okay, so I guess I'll start on week 38. Week 38 and week 39, those two doctor visits, I was at a 1 centimeter dilated and I was 90% effaced. And I actually became 90% effaced on my first checkup at 37 weeks that she did. So my cervix thinned out really quick. But then I stayed at 1 centimeter dilated for 2 weeks, 38 and 39. So I had an appointment for Friday on my due date, July 20th, which would have put me right at 40 weeks pregnant, to be checked again. And my doctor said at that appointment, if you haven't made any progress, we'll discuss options on either induction or alternative methods to start, labor. And so what I did was Monday the 16th, I ended up calling my doctor and I said, hey, instead of me coming in Friday, can I just, for you just to check my cervix and then come up with a game plan, can we just actually decide to, can you just sweep my membranes? Because one of my friends was successful with having that done. So I said on Friday, can you just sweep my membrane and, we'll go from there. So she said, yeah, that's fine. She said, let's schedule you for Wednesday. She said, why don't you come in Wednesday this week and we'll do that. So I said, okay, great. And so thinking nothing of it, that I was going to go into labor on my own, I went to work Tuesday. Ben and I, we worked together, so we went into work Tuesday, and around 7 o'clock in the morning, I went up to his desk and I was like, I think I'm getting contractions, but I don't think they're anything serious because they're just very light and they're very inconsistent, because I was keeping track of them, but they were like 10, 20 minutes apart, sometimes 5 minutes apart, and they were so light. Just the way I knew that they were contractions versus Braxton Hicks was that my stomach, actually, I started feeling crampy. Like every contraction I had, it was a crampy feeling. It wasn't extreme at all. It did not hurt at all. It just was a little crampy. So I thought nothing of it. They went away. I completely forgot about them because we actually left work around 10 o'clock that day to run some errands. And when we were heading back home around 11 o'clock, I think it was like 11, 12 o'clock, they started coming back again when we were in the car. And this time they hurt much more, and I knew it had to have been labor because I was like, these really hurt now. And I started, keeping track of them again, and they were getting a lot closer together and just getting stronger. So Ben was like, well, do you want to go to the hospital? And he was all anxious, and I was like, no, let's just go home and relax, and because I didn't want to, jump the gun and go to the hospital when I really wasn't even in labor. So we went home and I laid on the bed, tried to relax. I got a little food to eat. I think I made like a quick sandwich or something because I was afraid if I did go to the hospital they weren't going to let me eat anything. So I laid on the bed and the contractions started getting worse and worse and closer together. They were like every 6 minutes together from what I can remember. So I told Ben, I was like, okay, let's go to the hospital because now I'm getting a little nervous because the last thing I want to do is go, have the baby at the house. So I hopped in the shower, and after that we headed off to the hospital and we checked in around 1 o'clock. And the nurse checked me and I was at a 3. So that was very exciting because, I made some progress with those contractions, going from a 1 to a 3. So then at that point, the nurse called my doctor and she came back in and said, okay, your doctor wants you to stay. We're going to move you to the delivery room. So I was like, okay. And she came back in and she said, I'm going to check you in 2 hours. And she asked, do you want any medicine? Do you want the epidural? And I said, no, I plan on doing 100% natural childbirth. She said, okay, great. So she left me alone, which I really appreciated because I heard a lot of doctors and nurses, they're very adamant about, no, get the epidural. Do you want the epidural? Are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. And they just kind of push it on you because they don't want to have to deal with a head case. But my nurse was very respectful of that decision and she was very encouraging as well. So I really appreciated that. So she came back 2 hours later and she checked me and I was at a 5. And she said, oh, I feel your water, it's bulging, so it may break here soon. So Literally within a half an hour after her saying that, my water broke, and I was laying on the bed, and I literally heard the loudest popping noise. It sounded like, I mean, it felt like a balloon was in me and somebody popped it. I mean, that's literally what it felt like. And I screamed because it scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh my gosh, my effing water just broke. Ben's like, what? And so the nurse came flying in, and she's like, yep, that was your water, it broke. She's like, it's okay. So she got me up and she changed the bed, because I mean the bed was soaking wet. She changed my gown, and she said, okay, I want to warn you, now that your water's broke, you're going to feel a lot of pressure. And I was like, okay, and she left the room immediately, and every contraction at that point, after my water had broke, it was intensified. It hurt so bad. It was so uncomfortable, and I had back labor, so, which I heard is like the worst labor ever, because you just can't get comfortable. I so badly just wanted to lay on my back, relax, you know, breathe, just get through these contractions and ride them out, but I couldn't get comfortable. So it was so hard. I was just laying on my side the whole time. And I mean, I broke down at that point. When I was at 5 centimeters and after my water broke, I seriously was in so much pain. I was just so uncomfortable. I told Ben, I said, go get me the epidural. I need it. I cannot do this anymore. I became mentally weak. And he said, no, Regina, you can do this. This is not part of the birth plan. You wanted 100% natural childbirth from before you were even pregnant. You wanted 100% natural childbirth. So, you know, I'm so thankful he was there and reminded me of that, because, you know, our bodies are capable of doing this. I mean, God created us, women, to be able to produce, you know, or, you know, make human beings and grow them inside our bodies and deliver them. I mean, back in the day, epidural wasn't even here, and women did it all the time. Why now are we so, you know, crazy over, give me the drugs, give me the drugs? We can do this naturally. We just have to be strong, and there's by no means is there anything wrong with women who have had epidurals. There is absolutely nothing wrong. You know, what matters is having a healthy baby. That's the goal at the end of the delivery, is to have a is to have a healthy baby at the end of it. It doesn't matter whether you had it naturally or with medicine, whatever method you did, C-section, it does not matter. But that was just my thought process on, I want to do this naturally, I can do it, it is possible. So back to my story, he reminded me of that, and I was like, I hate you, and I just got through it, and thank God she came in an hour later and checked me again, and she's like, you're at an 8. So within an hour I grew, or you know, what do you call it? I went from a 5 to an 8 centimeters dilated. So that was very exciting, because I knew, wow, we're almost here. Like this is it. I'm now I can't get the epidural. It's too late. So I got that thought out of my head really quick. And once I was at an 8, every contraction I had at that point, I wanted to push. You always hear women will have the urge to bear down and push. It is so true. I had the overwhelming sensation of, I need to push this baby out of me. And every contraction I had, I was screaming, I'm pushing, and the nurse was like, no, you can't push. You're only at an 8. You have to wait till you're 10. And I was like, well, please check me again. So like a half an hour to an hour passed, and she checked me again, and she said, you're at a 10. So she got the doctor, and everybody came in the room, all the nurses. They started preparing everything, and the doctor got his scrubs on, and you know, they put my legs up, and they instructed me on how I was going to have to push. When you push, it's you have to obviously hold your breath while you're pushing, and push for 10 seconds, break, push another 10 seconds, break another 10 seconds. So you have to do 3 sets of pushing for 10 seconds long, which is the most exhausting thing ever. And you know, TV shows and movies, they portray delivery like once you're at a 10 centimeters dilated, you can just pop the baby right out with a couple pushes. That's not true. It can take hours. So I didn't know that. I went into it with a mindset of, oh great, I'm at 10, a couple pushes, a couple minutes, she's gonna be here in my arms. No, that's not the case. It took me an hour and 20 minutes of pushing, which I'm sure isn't bad compared to a lot of women. But an hour and 20 minutes, and she was there. And so it was crazy, because when you do it naturally, you can feel all of that. It is so raw. and so amazing just to feel your baby coming down the birth canal. With every push I had, obviously it was very exhausting. You can only hold your breath for so long and push for so long. I could feel her coming down the canal and about to crown. So like, here's like, you know, she's about to crown, and then I would lose my breath and she would come back in, and then I would push again and she would, like, I knew like, okay, this next push, she's gonna crown and come out. And let me tell you, I was worried that delivering her, the delivery of my daughter would be the worst and the most painful part of the whole delivery experience, or labor experience, but it's not. The contractions are the worst. Giving birth to her and pushing her out of me was such a relief. That didn't hurt at all. When she crowned and when she actually came out of me, it just was a burning sensation. And one of my friends told me, which is so true, it just feels like an Indian rug burn. You know, when somebody twists your arms in the opposite direction, that's what it feels like. And it's just such a relief to get that pressure out of you. You want to push. So anyway, Adriana Jordan was born July 17th, 2012. She was at 6:04 p.m. She was 7 pounds, 7 ounces, 19 inches, and 1/4. And she was perfect, and we just love her. And so my labor was a total of 5 hours. Checked in at 1, gave birth at 6:04 p.m. So crazy. I mean, I am so thankful my labor was that short, because I mean, women that have been in labor for 19, 20, however many hours long, I cannot even begin to imagine what that would be like. You would just be exhausted. So, but we are just so happy and so blessed and thankful for a beautiful, healthy baby girl. And that's it. I'm trying to think if I missed any details. They let us go 48 hours. They were going to let us go 24 hours, but they have to keep the baby at least 24 hours to monitor her and monitor the mom. 24 hours would have put us at 6:04 p.m. So we actually decided just to stay another night because it was dark at that time, and they actually still had one more test to do on her, the normal like blood test or whatever on her foot. And we were like, no, we're not going to bring our daughter home when it's dark. So we were like, let's just stay one more night and we'll leave first thing in the morning. So yep, but everything went well. And then I did, if anyone's curious, it's my first baby, and I did rip, or tear, which was my fear. And I asked the doctor, are you going to do an episiotomy on me? And she said, no, it's actually worse when you do an episiotomy. And I know a lot of doctors are back and forth. They have their own opinions on that. But she said it can make the tear a lot worse if they do perform the episiotomy versus you just tearing on your own. So she didn't perform that on me. I tore on my own, and it was just a 2nd degree, I guess, which you can have 4th degree is the worst. So 2nd degree, she said, is totally like expected, especially for your first. But whatever, I feel fine. I healed perfectly fine. I have my appointment next week. And yeah, so that's it. All right, well, ask any questions if I missed anything, or if you guys are curious to know of any questions that you have that I didn't answer. And all right, thanks for watching. Sorry it took me so long. All right, bye.